Today I want to share with you why I stopped training for balance and what I do instead. So there's two definitions we just got to get straight here. And this is very commonly getting misidentified, misapplied on social media in the fitness realms. People just are not getting this right, period. And so I just want to make this clear. To me, balance is even weight distribution, right? Like if you think of the scale thing where you're trying to balance the two out, that's balance, okay? And then there's stability. Stability is the range of motion that you're able to hold steady through. And so what this looks like to me is stability is actually done on a hard, like a firm surface, okay? Balance is like a lot of times where you add in a Bosu or an exercise ball and you're literally trying to balance. And so to be just upfront with you, what I've found to be, and I used to be a total balance guy. Like I was adding Bosus, exercise balls, bands. I was trying to make everything balance oriented because I thought that was what would make me more athletic. I was totally wrong. Like I screwed that up royally. And so the thing that I've found that's more effective than training for balance is training for stability. And you're like, what? Are you sure? How can that be right? So if we look at our definitions, balance being even weight distribution, stability being the ability to hold steady through a range of motion. So if we train for balance, right, like do a ton of exercise ball, a ton of Bosu work, you might get a little bit better at balance, but you're not going to get any better at stability. If you train for stability, you could get better at balance, but your stability is still going to get a lot better. And so balance is like, it's tricky to determine like how much are you actually affecting your balance. Because what I often see is people are like, oh, my balance is terrible. Well, what's worse than their balance is their stability. Like their feet are unstable, ankles unstable, knees, hips, like they're just unstable. And then they're like, oh God, I can't stay upright. And it becomes a balance issue. So if you train for stability, a lot of times your balance will get better. If you train for balance, your stability is not necessarily guaranteed to get better. It might a little bit, but like you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, the most juice for your squeeze out of your training sessions. So let's focus on training for stability. One of my favorite stability exercises of all time is a step up. And I know you're like, what, a step up? Are you kidding me? Like, no, but watch my step up video and show or see the intricate details of hip stability, knee stability, ankle stability, foot stability, spinal stability. All of those things are going to impact how you move. And when you get better at stability, you're going to have better balance. That's just the way that it is. And so if you're an athlete and you train a lot for stability, you're doing all these exercises on a stable surface, building foot stability, building ankle stability, you're going to get better balance. And so a balance issue could be like if you got a concussion, TBI, you have a stroke, like you have Parkinson's disease, like those are external factors that your training doesn't really account for. And so if you actually do have one of those things, like something to do with your brain, that could actually be impacting your balance. And so say you're a high performing athlete with really great stability, you get a concussion, your balance is going to go out the window. But as your brain heals, if you still have your stability, your balance is going to come back. If you're an athlete that doesn't have enough stability, your balance isn't going to be great. But as your stability gets better, then your balance is going to get better. And so making sure that we pull these two apart, balance, stability, there's just a huge difference. And so we got to make sure we're clear on what we're targeting here. And so when you do your exercises, look at joint by joint, how stable is this person? How stable is this body? How stable is my body? And you'll feel it. Like you do your single leg RDL and you'll feel your foot wobble. That's a stability issue. If you start to sway side to side, it's not balance. It's because your foot's not stable. So build up your arch, your foot, your ankle, your knee, your hip stability, and that's going to give you much better balance. I would also say the same for, like, I call it spinal integrity or spinal stability. Usually I say spinal integrity, but doing your plank, doing your side plank, doing your Palloff press, your anti-rotation exercises, you're training your spine not to flex, extend, or rotate, because when you have those leaking energies, when your spine's flexing, it's extending, it's rotating, that's going to throw your balance off in every exercise. And so having a really strong, like high pillar, like think like Roman ancient Roman times, they had those huge pillars. You want your spine not all the time to be turned on, but like when you require stability, you should snap your fingers and boom, activate a bunch of spinal integrity. And so with that spinal integrity, it's going to help your balance. Think of a deadlift. Your spine's coming down like this. If your thoracic spine is leaking energy and it's moving, that's going to throw your balance off. But it's not a balance issue. It's a stability issue in your thoracic spine. Okay, am I making sense here? So RDLs, step ups, dead bugs. I didn't talk about dead bugs, but in a dead bug, when your arm extends and your leg extends, your thoracic spine might have what I call a leaking energy. There's two vertebrae where it wobbles a little bit. That is not a balance issue. It's a stability issue. So clean up your stability in that exercise so that when you're on the court and you load for a jump, your trunk doesn't have to use a lot of extra energy to stabilize. The other exercise that I do a lot of is a single arm bench. And so when you're doing a single arm bench, it's very common that your thoracic spine wants to rotate, which is a leaking energy. And it's going to look like you're lacking balance, but you're actually lacking stability. So what we want to do with the single arm bench is build a very high integrity thoracic spine, meaning like super stable, so that you're not having, as you come down, your thoracic spine, there's not even a millimeter of rotation in your thoracic spine. And whether you're a boxer, a thrower, a basketball player, now your spine isn't going to have those tiny little leaking energies. It's going to be much more stable, very high integrity, so that you can land a punch with a lot of force and not lose a lot of kinetic energy, and also to maintain your balance. Think of a basketball player changing directions on the court. You're running one way and then you stop and your whole trunk goes over, and then you've got to like load up again to go back the other direction. I used to train this basketball player. He was 7 feet tall, and this was him. He was like a tree tipping over in the wind every time he went to go change directions. Well, guess what? We did anti-lateral flexion. Sounds complicated. It was a side plank, okay? We did Palloff press for anti-rotational exercises. This built very high integrity in his spine, a lot more stability, so that he didn't lose balance when he changed directions. He could plant and then boom, produce force the other direction as quick as possible. So this is a perfect prime exercise or concept of lack of stability that people are thinking, oh, he just doesn't have good balance. It's not a balance thing. His torso is extremely long, being 7 feet tall. He needs to snap his fingers to be able to produce that Roman pillar, very high integrity spine, so that he can change directions as fast as possible. This works in every direction: rotational, lateral, up and down, and just being able to load for a jump, produce force the other way. So practice your stability by getting very precise with your movement patterns. Like, get the most present you've ever been in your body and notice where the leaks happen. Check each joint. Start at your feet, go to your head. Is my foot wobbling? Is my ankle wobbling? Is my knee wobbling? Is my hip wobbling? Is my spine wobbling? And as you go through joint by joint, you'll notice where those leaking energies are and then hammer them home. If your foot's coming up, keep your big toe down. Your first metatarsal, keep that engaged in the floor to build more spinal or more foot integrity and stability, so that your balance gets better. Don't train on a Bosu and be wobbling all over the place, because you don't gain any stability from that. You're trying for balance, and it's not going to be very productive. So I hope this helps. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more amazing content like this.